Time to bring the bass back.
Mix is the beat of our culture. Your music.
I thank God for the opportunity to make music and for that music to be on a platform and people to come out and love.
Your stories.
It's gold for the Philippines.
The next generation of creators, artists, and filmmakers.
We bring you the latest and greatest impacting people from our community.
Spotlighting inspiring content from Generation Mix.
It's just a true honor to be able to do this, especially with all the great Filipino talent here.
Discover fresh artists first from around the world. Uniquely Filipino.
Step back three. He has got that.
Mix is the beat of our culture.
Hey guys, it's Sam with 2M's and welcome to this MYXclusive interview. Hello to everyone who's tuning in live here on Mix on this beautiful Thursday morning in the Philippines. I hope you've all been having a great morning so far. And if you're just starting your morning with us today, thank you so much for joining us here on all of our platforms. I'm so excited to be here with all of you because in just a bit, I'll be joined by a very special guest. And this is a very special guest of mine, I think, easily has been one of the most artistic people I've ever seen. Like when I was doing my research, I was like, oh, this looks really, really interesting. And I'm really excited to talk to him more about obviously creativity, but music as well, because he is a very, very creative and artistic singer-songwriter who has a song which is called When Scars Become Art, which recently resurfaced and became one of the fastest growing tracks here in the Philippines. So I'm so excited to get to know more about him, his music, and just everything that he has going on. So everyone, please welcome to MYXclusive, Gatton.
Hey, what's going on? That was a great intro. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for joining us. I meant everything. I really think you're one of the most creative people I've ever seen. While I was doing my research, essentially stalking you online, I thought that, it really was one of the things I noticed about you from the get-go. But before we talk more about that, Gatton, thank you so much for joining us here today. How have you been? How's life?
I've been so good. Life has been incredible. It's been busy and crazy and overwhelming. Honestly, since like that, I posted like one specific TikTok video, and ever since, the Philippines has just been so insane. I mean, the love has been unreal, and my life has been like a whirlwind for the past month and a half. But I'm just ridiculously grateful for all of it.
Oh, and we're so grateful too, for everything that you do with your music and like creativity wise, because we Filipinos, like, we really connected to the song, obviously. But we'll talk more about that in just a bit. I'm sure your Filipino fans would love to get to know more about you. I mean, they do know about your music, but we also would love to know more about Gatton as the person. Wow. So I would love to know, like, what have you been up to these days, aside from music, of course?
Yeah, so I live in Nashville, so I am just soaking up the sun. I love it here. I'm actually from Tampa, Florida originally, and I went to school about 2 hours from here in Tennessee. And I've been here for about a year and a half, and it's like one of the best places I've ever lived because there's so many different creatives and musicians and artists all around. And I think it's a blessing and a curse because it's overwhelming to be in a place where everyone's doing the same thing as you. But it's also a beautiful thing because it's very collaborative and everybody's down to create together and grow together. And so I'm a big social extrovert, and I love being around people 24/7 all the time. So if I'm not doing music or in the studio, I'm just like hanging out with friends, hiking in the mountains with friends, or just a casual hang. I just love like human beings and being around people as much as possible. So it's been a really like cool season. I've been out of college now for like 2 years, and it's been a really like beautiful season.
Oh, that's the best time of life, right after college, and just like experiencing the world for what it truly is. Sometimes can be really overwhelming. I mean, let's be real. That's totally right. I've been there too. And a lot of people, especially with everything going on, right, in the last 2 years, especially, it's been a crazy whirlwind, but it's amazing that you were able to find certain pockets of like, serenity or like stuff that you like to do, like meeting other people and music, of course, and being creative. I feel like you're in a really good space right now. And I can just see it in your energy. So great. So yeah.
Thank you.
I
Thank you so much.
this.
I appreciate that.
No, yeah. And I saw that you're one of the most creative people I've ever researched on based on your Instagram feed. I was like, man,
Aww.
that is a lot of work. I know how hard it is to actually keep your feed all together. You know what I mean? But was this always something that you're into, like maybe like visual arts or just arts in general?
Yeah, so I'm a creative director as well. So I think that's what a lot of people maybe don't really realize, but I do like freelance creative directing for different companies. So I basically am like, I hire models for different, like I work with a jewelry company and then a clothing company, and I do a lot of different like collaborations with photographers and stuff like that. So I love like the visual art just as much as like the musical art. And yeah, I'm grateful and so blessed to be able to do both. Like, it's so interesting the time we live in that we can do multiple art forms and dip our toes in multiple different places. And it doesn't just, I don't have to be just a musician. I can do like other things. And yeah, Nashville, I think, is like a perfect place for that, is to just kind of like live both of those lives.
Yeah, we stand an audiovisual artist.
Exactly. We do indeed. Yeah.
We really do. I feel like a lot of us, especially now, we've had to kind of venture out into many different art forms too as creatives. Like, it is much better, I feel like, for a lot of people to be able to try different things to really know what they want to do. And I totally love that agree. both the audio and visual aspects of it really appeal to you too. And we see it in how you harness all of your creativity in both the music but also the visuals. But how did you actually start off with music? I know that's another part of you that you love so much. So how did you actually start writing your own music?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've always done music. I've always been a musician and I've sang. I grew up in choir and I sang at my church and school, but I never really wrote music until about 4 years ago, when Scars Become Art was actually one of the first songs I ever wrote. So I went through this really painful season where I lost multiple relationships that meant a lot to me and a few different opportunities. And ultimately, I just felt like I lost myself. Like, so much of my identity was rooted in these relationships and in these opportunities. And so when I lost them, I was just so confused as to who I was. And that was the hardest season of my life and the most necessary season of my life, because I recognized the option that I have, dare I say, to make art out of my scars and to find beauty in every painful situation. So I went on this, I went to California for a month and I was writing kind of for the first time, like really songwriting. And I remember writing this one specific song and I just got lost in the song. I mean, the moment I started writing it and singing it, it just was like, took me to another place. And it was like all the pain and sorrow just left for those like 4 or 5 minutes that I was singing. And I didn't have a title for it yet. I couldn't like figure out exactly what it was that I was trying to say. I was like, what's the overall theme of the song? And so I was like, I guess beauty is when you can make art out of your scars, when scars become art. And I just like flippantly wrote it down. I was like, maybe when scars become art. And it's so interesting because something that started out as like kind of flippant and disposable almost became the anthem of my life, which is to cultivate artwork out of every scar and to find beauty in every painful situation. So I'm like so deeply grateful that this is the song that people clung to, because if I could have chosen one song to represent me as an artist, it would be that song. And one concept to represent me, it would be the concept to choose resilience and to learn how to not only overcome your pain, but to make something beautiful out of it as well. So I think like music has always been a thing, but it's only become more serious and deep and a part of my identity in the past like 4 years.
Wow, like my jaw was like open the whole time you were talking. Just hearing how crazy life is, you know what I mean? And just like how the universe works in such a weird way that we can't really understand at certain moments. Like I can imagine at that time in your life when you were having such a hard time. Obviously, when that happens, a lot of us are like, why is this happening to me? Like, how is this happening to me?
Yeah.
And now that we're looking back on it, it's such a beautiful thing. And that's exactly what I feel like the song too, like when scars become art, it's something that you can look back on and be like, I made something beautiful out of that very painful experience. And that's something a lot of people... Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think for me too, it's like now I'm at the place where I'm so grateful for the pain. Like I recognize the necessity of it, and I'm like, I had to go through that to become who I became. I wouldn't have any of these songs. I wouldn't have my music career if I didn't go through all the pain. And so, I think there's a certain time in your life where you really do recognize like the beauty of that and how it was so necessary for your growth and your strength.
For sure. I feel like, and that's a hard place to reach, you know, kind of looking back and being thankful for the pain that you experience is always so hard. But, you know, it's kind of that acceptance, I think, that frees a lot of people too. And now you're able to share your music with everybody, which is so great. I love this. I mean, this is great energy to start off my morning.
And so kind.
Yeah, and I love music. I feel like, you know, music is something that a lot of people, regardless of where you're from, your race, or, you know, your background, it's something that people can really connect to and cling to. But talking more about how you started with your music, you said that, you know, you went through that whole experience and it just came out of you. It was something that you kind of coped with. But in terms of the music that you want to create as an artist, you know, when we first get into music, we kind of have like a soul artist or like an artist who awakens us to like music and our love for music. Totally. So for you, who is that artist?
I think it's always been Adele. She's always been like the most, I'm just so fascinated by how powerful someone can be in just standing on a stage and like telling a story through a song. There's no background dancers, there's no like crazy lights or anything. It's just so simple but so beautiful. And I think she really is like above anything else a storyteller, and she makes you feel things that you've never even experienced before. Like I remember I was probably like maybe a freshman, no, probably in middle school when she was first coming out with her stuff, and I was just like, I've never been through a breakup, but for some reason I'm crying and I feel this exact thing. You know what I mean? It's like those artists that just like evoke such emotion in you that you just like feel like you've been there and you can like experience exactly what they've experienced. And so I would say that in terms of writing from the beginning, she was like such a big inspiration for me, because I think that to me, some of the bravest people are the most vulnerable. And I think if you can learn to really open up your heart and be vulnerable and show people the really painful sides of your humanity, it heals a lot of other people. And I think it's a really beautiful thing. And so that's how I want to be as an artist, is like being brave enough to open up my heart and soul to people so that they can see their story in mine.
No, yeah, I totally agree with Adele. I totally get what you're saying, especially with her most recent album, like 30. I know how she kind of went through a divorce, through all that. And when I was listening to it, I've never been through a divorce. And I'm like, my God, like, what are these feelings that I feel?
You have, totally.
It's so crazy. 100%. And I feel like with your music too, a lot of people can definitely, you know, even though we're not at the most vulnerable state, but when we listen to your music, it kind of puts us in that state and kind of reminds us of all of the times we've, you know, felt pain or like we went through certain emotions and all that. But you were talking about how you want to be an artist who, you know, is very open about, you know, the very vulnerable parts of your life too. But sometimes that can be really difficult, even as a person, you know, not just as an artist. So what are the things you kind of tell yourself when, you know, it becomes a little bit scary to be vulnerable and translate all of that into music?
That's a great question. I think that I have seen now I guess like the fruit of my labor, and I've recognized like all the good that's come from me like opening up my heart to certain people, and I think that like part of the reason why, I think someone asked me earlier today like why they felt like when Scars Become Art was, you know, doing well and resonating with people, and I really do think it's because it came from such an authentic and like raw and vulnerable place. I think that I have to continue to like remind myself though that it's necessary, because it still feels sometimes so not natural to just like, you know, it's like kind of the most inner like sad hard parts of my life splattered on the keys of a piano basically. And I do think that it's hard, but I think the people that I look up to the most are the most vulnerable people, and I look to them. I look to mentors and different friends that inspire me, and also I have a few authors that really inspire me, and I've seen how much healing I've gotten from their vulnerability, and that keeps me going. That like really inspires me to continue to be that for other people.
Yeah, and I think that kind of self-awareness is something that you kind of experience over time. It's not something that's really sudden. I mean, being vulnerable is very difficult.
Totally.
Like I keep saying.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to see that you're in a place where you want to share it with others who can feel, who have felt the same way, because it can also help them in whatever way in their journey as well through life, obviously. And I think for a lot of people, When Scars Become Art is exactly that song that helps them heal through the difficult parts of their life. But we were talking about how this song, kind of resurfaced again on TikTok because of that specific TikTok that you did post, and in the Philippines, like, blew up crazy. A lot of people definitely can relate to this song. But do you remember the moment you kind of realized that it popped off and it was getting more attention than you thought it would?
Yeah, I do. Because it's funny because the song has been out for like 4 years now. So it's like, it's had some steady growth, but it's not been anything like I've seen in the past like month and a half. And I remember I posted the video. I honestly just like dedicated this year to working smarter, not harder. And so I was like, I'm going to really try to hone in on the things that I know will, if I'm consistent, will like pay off. And so I knew TikTok was one of those things. So I was like, I'm going to really just try to work on TikTok and like post some different things. And I had posted this video before and I just posted it. And I remember, I think the first hour I got like 15 likes or something like that. And I was like, okay. Just a flop, whatever. And then I think it was like after 2 hours, it just started to like grow. I mean, it just kept going. The next day, it was like there was a lot of videos made to it, and then I think like the next day after that, it was like the film strip trend. I think was what people were clinging to, and it was like day by day by day, my numbers were climbing, and everything was just like I was getting contacted by all these different labels, and I mean, it was like it still is like a whirlwind. I'm still kind of like I almost can't wrap my head around it because I think it's so quick. Because I was I think right before I posted that TikTok, I had like 140,000 monthly listeners. And now this morning it's at like 1.3 million, which is just like unbelievable in like a month.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like you can't even like comprehend it all because it's just happened so quickly. But like the support has been unbelievable. I've been blown away. I'm like, me and the Philippines are like lovers now. It's just crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
No, I agree. On behalf of all of the Filipinos in the Philippines, we feel like we know you, because we like just a
like
little
the
background.
Most supportive.
Oh, thank you. No,
Seriously.
But we love music to begin with, but we love music that makes us feel like all these vulnerable feels. We love that kind of music. Like we are obsessed with that kind of music. So
I love that.
I think that's really part of we love to be sad. Like that's part of that's like
I love it.
We actually have a term for it in our country. It's called hugot, which kind of means to pull from a deep somewhere, like a deep something.
Wait, how do you
so
say it?
Kind of
I
like
want to try to say it.
Hugot.
Hugot?
Yeah. Hugot.
Okay.
Hugot.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
It's like that. So it's kind of like you pull from a deep like place in your feelings or your place.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what this track is. It kind of pulls from like this whole deep sense of like pain or like vulnerability within you. So a lot of us really were able to relate to this track, and it's so crazy how it grew. Like life is really so crazy, like we keep saying. 1.3 million listeners. I don't even know 1 million people like for real in real life, so I can't even
it's hard to
imagine.
it's hard to, and it's interesting because it's like it's not happening here where I'm at. It's like happening in a place that's so far off that I am not there. So it almost just doesn't, like, you can't comprehend it almost, but people will send me videos in the grocery store of my song being played, or I mean, it's like everywhere. And I'm like, wow, it's just the coolest thing ever. I was actually talking to somebody recently from the Philippines, and they said that you guys like are big on like resilience and consider yourself to be like one of the most resilient countries. And so like any concept of like resilience or overcoming something that's hard is like just what you guys cling to so much, which I love. I think it's so beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. I was also going to say that. I remember you mentioned resilience early on in this interview, and I was like, oh, that's so Filipino. Like, that's something we like to describe. It's like one of our characteristics as a people, that we are resilient. So we basically have adopted you now into our
right. I think which I'm totally down for. Like, I'm going to come there and never come back.
Yeah, I mean, you're always welcome here whenever the time is right. We would love to have you. We have amazing
Gotta
food
get over
too.
there. Yes, I've
Yeah,
heard.
I mean,
I want to try it all.
it's great. Yeah, and you love the sun too, like what you said a while ago. So we have a lot of
Yes.
sun over
Yes.
here.
Right.
I love that I'm
Oh,
selling the Philippines to you
I
right
know.
now,
I'm like,
but
I'm sold. I'm there.
yeah.
Totally.
Oh, there you go, guys. Obviously, we're gonna have Gatton anytime soon. You know, when it's right, he will be
Yeah.
coming to the Philippines. We're gonna give him the
Absolutely.
key to the country,
Please.
and
Please.
it's gonna be really great. But how did it feel for
Totally.
you seeing all of the, there are a lot of different kinds of videos under the audio on
Yeah.
TikTok, right? But there are a lot of different ones. How did it feel for you, kind of like looking through everyone and like also their journey, with the song?
Oh, it's just the most beautiful thing in the world. I mean, it's like a dream come true. And it really was like the best case scenario in the sense that, like I said earlier, like this song is what I consider to be like the thesis of my artistry. Like it just represents me fully as an artist. And so the fact that like this is the one that people clung to, and I've seen, couples put the sound to like their videos, and it's funny too, because I think that like when people just heard the chorus, they were like, oh my gosh, could be a great wedding song. This is like my new favorite song for my boyfriend. And then they go and listen to the full song, and like at the end, it's just like super sad and depressing. And they're like, oh, never mind. Okay.
Never mind.
And I'm like, no, you can still use the chorus. You can.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just been so mind blowing to watch. Like, I just think music is such a connection piece, and it connects so many different people. And to watch like a people group that's literally on the other side of the world connect with like something that used to be so painful and sad for me, and now is like so beautiful, is like, I can't even describe it. There aren't words. Like, it's just does my heart so good, and I'm so unbelievably grateful for the Philippines. I mean, it's just, I think I already said it, but it's like the Philippines truly has changed my life. Like, and I don't even say that lightly. It really has. Like,
Yeah.
I really was like planning on quitting music last year. I was like so done, and which I don't really tell people, but I was like, it was one of the toughest years of like my career. And it's definitely a blessing, but it's also just like overwhelming to be surrounded are doing the same thing as you. And so I just thought, like, maybe this isn't for me. Like, maybe I'll just kind of move on. And I don't think it'll ever like be lost on me. I think I'll always just be in amazement at the Philippines and how beautiful and supportive you guys are over there.
Oh no, I was so touched. I feel like, wow. I mean, just to hear that you wanted to quit like last year, and kind of this happening too, and like we keep saying, life is crazy. It's really so crazy.
It's crazy.
You can never really understand it. But this is where we are, and we're grateful for you, Gatton, for obviously not giving up and still, creating music and sharing it with all of us, because I truly believe, like what you said, music, connects so many people from many different parts of the world, from many different walks of life. And I'm so happy that you're able to share your talent in making music with everybody, because not everyone can do it. I can't make music. Well, I haven't tried, but I'm happy that you're able to share it.
I believe in you.
Everybody. Thank you. But I have never tried, but I'm happy that we have artists like you who actually do get to share.
Thank you so much.
And this track, like you mentioned, is a song that you wrote 4 years ago, or in 2018. And at that moment, I can imagine it had such a big like meaning to you. But over time, I can imagine also it changed also. Like the meaning of the track to you has changed. So for you, like what does When Scars Become Art mean to you now in 2022?
So the song is like a story, and it kind of just starts out with this one specific relationship where, I had been in the lyric says like, how will I trust you when you say that you will love me? Because she said that too. So it's like, I had already been in a relationship that I lost trust from, and it really hurt me, and I was very scarred already. And so kind of learning to trust again, and to kind of like fall back in love with someone. And it just kind of journeys through that process of like, okay, I think I'm going to trust you, and now teach me to heal my scars, because I've heard it said that beauty is when scars become art. And then it just like kind of goes through this whole like learning to trust again. And at the very end, the end is a metaphor. it's not like, you know, the person that I was with didn't actually die. So it's just a metaphor of who I knew them to be didn't exist anymore. They changed so much that it was like I didn't even recognize them anymore, and I had lost them and they kind of left. And so it was just me like journeying through like, you know, how, like, what do I do now? It was kind of like a full circle moment. It's like I started out not trusting, and then I'm back to this place of like not trusting. And so I think that like that whole like concept of when scars become art is like, you know, my brand. And I don't think I already said this on here, but right after I like wrote When Scars Become Art, I went on this interview process where I interviewed 85 people in a year. And so it was like different singers and professors and counselors and therapists, anybody that I found extraordinary in some way, I interviewed. And it was called the When Scars Become Art Project. And I just wanted to know how they made art out of their scars and how they found beauty out of their pain. And that completely changed my life. Like, I just realized, oh, we all want the same thing as human beings. We all long to love and to be loved and to belong. That's all we want in life. And I think it really like showed me that just watching so many different people from different walks of life and different ages and different backgrounds like have so many different things in common. It really like cultivated things like empathy and forgiveness for me, because it's like, okay, this person hurt me, but at the end of the day, they just want what I want. They just didn't know how to get it, so they couldn't do it kindly or whatever. So I think like the concept of When Scars Become Art will always be sort of the anthem of my life. And that's like the biggest thing that I want people to take away from my music is like resilience is a superpower. Like, as human beings, that is the best thing we can like give to this world, is like not only overcoming adversity, but becoming better because of it. And I think if you can learn to like not only heal, but also like get stronger because of the pain and the weakness, then it's just the most like beautiful thing that we have to offer this world. So I think that When Scars Become Art will always like take a different meaning in a different context of.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes the track really relatable to a lot of people, because what it means to you can really differ from the meaning of other people, that the kind of meaning that they put into it, which I think is the beauty of life. You know, we all have different experiences that we go through, and I love that you said we all want the same thing. Like, we all want to be loved, we want to love others, and even though some people have different ways of showing love, it might not work out for us. It's still the same thing. So that's so beautiful. I love that you were able to share that with us, and you were able to do that whole project just to have a better understanding of how we all kind of heal from these certain experiences that we go through. But that makes us even more excited too for everything that you have going on. I'm sure from here, you would love to share more of your music with all of us and all of your artistic endeavors with all of us. So what can we expect coming from you, Gatton, this year?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I can say that there's not a lot I can say, but I am working on an album right now. So I've finished writing it. I'm just kind of working on like the details of it all. And I think it's going to be really good. And I think it's my debut album. So it's like the first full length album that I've done. And I think that there'll be some surprises. And like, I think the sound will be a little bit different, but I also think there'll be some things that are just like authentic to me, and it'll be a lot of healing and sadness. I'm like, get your tissues, get your therapist, get ready. It's going to be nice and sad. But I'm working on an album, and I'm also working on a specific collaboration that I can't talk about, but I do think that the Philippines are going to love. I'll just say that. I think it'll be really good.
Stop.
It's a very beloved person that you guys love. Yeah.
Oh my God. My brain just went into maximum overdrive trying to think of who that could be. I was just thinking about it like, I wonder who it could be.
Yeah. Who could it be? We'll never know. Or will we? We might know soon. Who knows?
Oh my god, guys. So we have so much to look forward to from Gatton, of course. He's working on an album, his debut album, super exciting. Also a collaboration that Filipinos will love, obviously. We're already claiming it that we're gonna love it. So we have that to look forward to. But for now, to everyone tuning in, make sure to stream all of Gatton's music. It's excuse me, available on multiple digital streaming platforms. You guys can check that out. But before I let you go, Gatton, I do want to ask you, because on one of your IG posts, you ask the question, what is your favorite thing about your life right now? So we would love to throw the question back at you.
Oh, I love that. I love that you remember that. My favorite thing about my life right now, that's a great question. I'm like, good one. I would say my favorite thing about my life right now is the people that I'm surrounded by. Um, I just like my community and everybody that's around me is inspires me so much. But I think also like the fact that I get to pretty much live my dream. I would say two things. I think my community is one of them. I'm surrounded by a lot of really beautiful artists and creatives and people that inspire me all the time. And then two, that I get to pretty much live the dream that I always dreamed for myself, which is to share my art with the world and for people to be able to see their stories in mine. I am just so blown away that this is my life sometimes. It's crazy. Like it's such a dream come true. And I'm so grateful. So grateful. So yeah, I think it's like a really sweet season of just a lot of different like exciting things and just kind of discovering more of like myself and like my fan base and all the things. I'm ridiculously grateful for this season.
Oh, and we love that for you. We love the sweet season of Gatton, that he's going through right now. So we're always rooting for you. Obviously, we can't wait for everything that you have planned for everyone. We can't wait for the music, the art, and just everything that you have planned. But before I do let you go, do you have a message to all your Filipino fans who are so excited that you have a lot of music coming up, but also so excited for the time that you get to come to the Philippines and join us?
Yes. I just want to say that I love you, Philippines. I'm trying to say this right. I've been trying to practice this. Mahal kita. Did I say that right?
Beautiful. Yes.
I love you, Philippines, with all my heart. You guys have genuinely changed my life. I have to get over there immediately, and I'm never going to leave the moment I come over there. You guys are my family. You're the best. Hugs and kisses, all the things. I love you guys.
Oh, and we claim you now. We really are adopting you. So that's really it. It's final.
I love it. I'm ready. Yep. It's set in stone. Yeah.
Yes, but we can't wait till we actually get to have you over here. But for now, everyone who's tuning in, make sure to stream all of Gatton's music, available on multiple digital streaming platforms, especially his most recently resurfaced song, which is When Scars Become Art, because I'm sure a lot of us can definitely relate to it. But thank you so much, Gatton, for joining us here today.
Thank you so much, Sam. It was such a pleasure to talk to you. Seriously.
Same here. I got all of the feels. I learned a lot, and it's great.
Good.
Started my day off with great energy, and I can't wait for all of the music and amazing things they're going to be doing in the future. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Again, Gatton.
Yeah,
thank you. And thank you as well to everybody who tuned in to this MYXclusive interview. Once again, this has been Sam and Twins and Gatton. Thanks, guys.